The Cupertino Chamber of Commerce presents Cupertino School Board Debate 2016, featuring the candidates running for Cupertino Union School District and the Fremont Union High School District, live from the Cupertino Community Hall. And now for tonight's moderator, Rick Kitson.
Good evening. I'm Rick Kitson, Director of Communication for the Cupertino Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us tonight. I will be your moderator this evening as we present and share views and opinions of our school board candidates for this 2016 election. In 1954, the Cupertino Chamber of Commerce was founded to help with the incorporation of a new city that would be called Cupertino. The Chamber is proud to have been an active part of this dynamic community from the beginning and is excited to continue to promote the thriving and sustainable Cupertino. The vitality and health of our community can be profoundly impacted by its elected officials, which is why we are here tonight. This evening's topics have been provided by members of the Chamber of Commerce, the majority of which are small businesses. Earlier this evening, the candidates randomly selected topic questions and the order in which they will speak. The format is quite simple. For each round, a candidate will initially present a 2-minute statement on the selected topic. Other candidates will have 1 minute to clarify how their own views may differ or agree with the initial presenter. The initial presenter will then conclude remarks on the topic for 1 minute. The format will continue until each candidate has had an opportunity to lead on a topic, and following all the topics, each candidate will have a closing remark. We want the community to keep in mind that each candidate is running to be part of a team, and so we encourage our candidates to share and respond to other comments that are made on the dais. Let's begin with the first question, which was drawn by Mr. Rockland. The first question is, please talk about the budget challenges faced by the school board for which you are running. Discuss changing funding formulas and how you will address these budget challenges.
Thank you, Mr. Kitson. First, I'd like to just talk about how our district is funded. We get a small amount of money from the state and from the federal government, but the large majority of money for Fremont Union High School District comes from local property taxes. And these tend to rise minimum of 2% when the economy is improving. In addition, when houses or businesses are sold and reassessed, there's some additional rise to that. So I think we're getting somewhere around a 4% per year increase in property tax revenue. So in times of recession, our income tends to go down somewhat, and when the economy is doing well, it tends to go up somewhat, but it tends not to crash and not to skyrocket, so it tends to be moderately predictable. One of the consequences of a system where we only get money from property taxes is it doesn't really matter how many students are in the district. If we lose students or gain students, it doesn't change the amount of money that we're obtaining. The financial management of Fremont Union High School District, in my opinion, is excellent. We have a budget we have a budget of over $100 million, and we run a surplus. Some of the surplus is saved for when the economy turns down. The rest is distributed to employees as salary. Because of excellent financial management, we have a AAA bond rating, which allows us to borrow money for building construction at the lowest possible rate. One of the reasons our budget is in good shape is due to our excellent labor relations. The district has a revenue sharing model in which specific percentages of funds go to teachers, classified staff, and administrators, and currently about 66% goes to teachers. and is split between salary and benefits. Was that my 1 minute, or was it?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Time flies.
You'll get another swing at this as it comes back around. Mr. Rockland is running for the Fremont Union High School District Board. Liang Chow will be the next to respond. Ms. Chow is running for the Cupertino Union School District.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Our general fund of about $140 million come from the enrollment of about $75 per student. The district can attract more students by providing excellent education. However, the district should never cooperate with developers to use potential decline in enrollment to influence public opinions for their project. The average student population has been growing by 1.9% in the past 20 years, but the rate has slowed down since 2012. From 2012 to 2015, there is a student population growth of only 1.5% in 4 years period. However, the number of classroom teachers grew by 5.3%. The number of administrators grew by 47%. The number of non-classroom teachers grew by 400%. CUSD board approved all of them without much deliberation. Even though we are the lowest funded district in the county and the state, our goal should be to spend what money we have in the most effective ways. Have we?
Thank you. Next is Phyllis Vogel. Ms. Vogel is also running for the CUSD board.
Thank you. Unlike the Fremont Union High School District, we are funded on what's called a revenue limit model, and that means we're paid on a per student basis. So we receive approximately $7,400 per student each year. Not enough, by the way. Under the current funding formula, the local control funding formula, we have certain funds that are earmarked for specific things. So when we talk about the increase in the number of teachers, those are paid for out of a pot of money that can't be used for other things. It's specifically designated to provide support for specific groups of students, low income, English learners, and foster youth. We, as a low-funded district, we are challenged to retain our personnel, but we've put a lot of things in place in addition to salary to attract and retain personnel, and I will talk about those in my next minute because I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jenny Yuan.
Hello, my name is Jenny Yuan. Fremont Union High School District is basic A district and the budget is stable. As a small business owner, in past 15 years, my experience on budget is using money efficiently and conservatively. So if elected, I would suggest our district only use the money on necessary part. Our current situation is pretty good. But we must prepare ahead of time for district future, especially some tough years. So we should have always enough reserve for rainy days.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Josephine Lucy, also running for the CUSD board.
Thank you. As Phyllis said, we're a revenue limit district, which means our funding comes per child. And so for us, it's very, very important that all of our budget planning take place over multi-years. We're required by the state to do 3-year budget planning. We actually, in our district, do 5-year budget planning so that we can look at the out years and look at our problem over time. Our biggest challenge is, one, as we've mentioned, declining enrollment, which is a direct result of the low birth rates that took place during the recession. It's an issue that's happening all across the county. Most of the districts here are seeing a decline in enrollment in their student population. We also have an issue in that the state has required us to increase the amount of money that we put into our retirement fund. So if we're going from 8% of payroll to 18% of payroll, and that's taking place over a multi-year time period, so we have to budget for that as well. And I think I'm out of time.
Great. Next is Mr. Jeff Moe, who is a candidate for the Fremont Union High School Board.
Just to add a few points, as Roy said, 92% of our budget comes from local property tax and 6% from the state and 2% from the federal government. 6% is spent on administration, 9% on plant services, and the rest is on instruction and student-related services. It also, as Roy mentioned, we have done very well, but not only, but also with two of the rating systems, both Moody's and S&P's, we have the highest rating, and that highest rating means low interest on bonds, which translates to saving millions in taxpayer interest. Our community has generously voted to approve a $295 million bond 2 years ago, and we're able to expand and modernize our schools. One of the challenges is to ensure as a board member that we monitor those projects and ensure that they are well run and within budget.
Right. And to wrap this up on our budget question, Mr. Rockland.
I think all of us would agree that monitoring the budget and making sure that money is spent wisely is one of our top priorities. I consider it extremely important to continue the conservative financial management that the district now has, and it will be one of my priorities to understand where every dollar goes and where every dollar comes from. Thank you.
Great. Let's move on to our second question from the Chamber of Commerce members. And that will be led off by Ms. Chow. The question is, what are the top 3 issues facing the school district? What are your top 3 priorities, and how will you implement these priorities? So again, what are the top 3 issues facing the school district? What are your top 3 priorities, and how will you accomplish them?
Top 3 issues right now is loss of trust from the teachers and also the parents, and the budget deficit that we need to express, and we need to have a long-term facility plan. And I think my priority will be to put students first. We will ensure students receive 21st century education, and programs should require high standard with critical, collaborative, and reflective thinking. Decisions should engage teachers and address parents' concerns. And this, we can take use of technology such as webinars and anonymous feedback from teachers so that we can get genuine feedback. For fiscal health, I would like to demand long-term planning to hold the district accountable. We will align the budget with strategic priorities that directly impact students and classrooms. For example, the budget should provide categories for different usage, like the categories for administrative cost and direct classroom teacher cost and different kind of cost. Right now, the budget is very hard to read. There is no transparency, so it's very hard for the board to even know where we are spending those money. Next, safety first. I would like to advocate for student safety and collaborate with the 6 cities we serve to lay out minimum standards for traffic and playground safety. We have Safe Route to Schools program. However, each city now operate that separately, and district is not taking a leadership to work with them. Stakeholder engagement. I think to solve all of these problems, we can build partnership with the parents. Instead of treating parents as noisemakers, we should treat them as partners to work on these problems together.
Great. Thank you. And again, the question is the top 3 issues facing the district, your top 3, and how would you implement them? And it sounded like that was trust, facilities, long-term facilities plan, and technology. So Ms. Vogel, you would be the next to respond to that question.
Thank you. I think the top 3 priorities for the district are student achievement, declining enrollment, and budget. And because those are the district priorities, those are also my priorities. So when we look at student achievement, I think we're doing an excellent job. Our students do very, very well. But the challenge that we face is in the area of the implementation of Common Core. And we've done that implementation very successfully in math, nearly finished in math, rolling out writing in all of our schools. The challenge there is going to be reading. I think the next thing we need to look at is reading, and our state is not being very helpful in that area. So that's a big area for me to focus on. Declining enrollment, as Joe mentioned, affects our budget and a lot of things we do, our staffing and the enrollment in our schools. And we're going to have to figure out a way to manage, particularly in the south end of our district. We have about 5 schools in the south end that are declining more rapidly than others. And the last thing is budget, which we've talked quite a bit about, but we're going to face cuts in Cupertino over the next couple of years, and we need to manage that in creative ways. Thank you.
Great. Ms. Yoon, what you think are the top 3 issues facing?
There is a couple of issues we're facing, like quality of education in the budget, but I want to mention here is that the enrollment are not balanced between schools. And the second one is the communication issues, so that we need to rebuild the trust between district and the community. And another one is safety concerns on campus. And this one I want to address here is that school building safety issue is we have 36 seismic unsafe school buildings. And there are 2 unsafe buildings in Cupertino High, 7 in Fremont High, 13 in Lynbrook High, and 14 in Monte Vista High. This structural type are unsafe due to the DSA seismic requirement because they're not meet their requirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lucy.
Sure. So I think my top 3 are probably very similar to Phyllis's. I think budget and enrollment is key. Curriculum and student achievement, I think, go kind of hand in hand. And then I think sort of compensation for our employees is something that we're going to have to consider as we move forward as well. Enrollment across the district, as Phyllis mentioned, is declining, particularly in one area, and that does have impacts on our students and our student achievement. When a school gets so small that you only have one class or a combination class at every grade level, 1 first, 1 1-2, 1 second, 1 2 3, it makes it really difficult for teachers to collaborate. It makes it difficult for students to be able to be grouped in good student groupings. And I think that's one of the areas where we're going to have to pull together with our parent community and talk about what the enrollment patterns are moving forward, looking at what kind of creative ideas we can do in terms of perhaps pulling in alternative programs to draw from where we're kind of full down into areas where we have lots of room in our school. So one topic, but 3 issues.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Moe.
Yes. So the top 3 issues and top priorities, kind of the same thing. I would, first of all, utilize all available communication channels to better engage community, to ensure that the community really understands and has the right facts. You know, building safety is one of those, and that's one area where I don't think everybody has the right facts. We're very careful about that, and we have a state agency that monitors that. So we really have to better engage the community. To also, strengthen the culture of excellence. You know, we have very successful schools, but that culture of excellence has to continue through teacher training and leadership development, and working together in a collaborative environment. Management development is really important too. We have a great management team now, but they won't be here forever, so we have to develop new leadership.
Great. Mr. Rockland.
I would agree with Jeff in the statement about communication, and improving communication is definitely important. And also communication is tied in with the issue of community involvement in the schools. I like the idea of the Citizens Advisory Committee looking at the problem of declining enrollment at Lynbrook and possible future overcrowding at other schools. And I think that was a good way to get the community involved in a particularly difficult problem. I think the most serious challenge we at Fremont Union face is the difficulty of providing an adequate salary to teachers and staff to live in this area. I hate to bring that up without offering solutions, because it's a very difficult problem. The solutions can be very expensive, but it's definitely something that I will want to work on and think about when I'm on the board.
And back to you, Ms. Chow.
So it seems the common trend is student achievement, enrollment budget, and safety, and also community engagement. I'd like to point out one thing in terms of student achievement. We are looking at the scores, but it seems our district tend to reduce our students into numbers. Math placement used to take into account of teacher recommendation and the performance, the maturity of students, but right now it's based only on numbers. A parent told me that she compared a report card of her fourth grade daughter and her son 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the report card from teachers talk about the whole child, how the child matured and how they interact with the classmates, with the teachers. But now, today, the report card is all about the student has mastered reading, the student has mastered math. What we want our children to be just numbers or a whole human being.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Well, our next question is going to start with Phyllis Vogel. And that question is, coincidentally, that the entire state is facing a growing teacher shortage. This is especially true in our area, which is particularly expensive. What strategies would you support to ensure the school district continues to recruit and retain highly qualified teachers? Ms.
Thank
Vogel.
Attracting and retaining the best staff is a top priority for me. It's a challenge in Cupertino because of the high cost of living in our area and because most of our neighboring districts have the ability to pay their teachers more because they are basic aid districts as Fremont High School District, and we are not. I'm committed to providing competitive compensation for all staff, and in addition to that, we've offered other incentives to encourage teachers and other staff to seek employment in Cupertino and to stay with us for a long career. Special education teachers are in high demand all over the state, and we've provided a siding bonus for our special education teachers. We also provide flexibility and placement on the salary schedule based on hard-to-fill positions. Not only is it teachers, but other employees are a challenge as well. We've increased the salaries of some of our specialized instructional assistants to be competitive in the job market, and we've increased bus drivers to 8 hours so they won't run away and drive buses for Google and Apple. Retirement incentives, release days for special ed teachers, moving reimbursements, flexible work week, allowing employees to enroll their students in district schools if they live outside the district, are just a few more of the incentives that we have put in place. Our Human Resources Department is always searching for other incentives to attract and retain our excellent staff.
Thank you. Ms. Yoon.
I'm a mother of 2 children. One is in CUSD and one is in Fremont Union High School District. A lot of times, what I'm thinking is that how could our teacher settle down on this area? Because the house in Lynbrook or Cupertino, Sunnyvale is around, I think, $1.2 to $1.6 million on average. So our teachers start at $60,000 per year. How could they settle down around this? Have they commute a couple of hours every day? Then how could they put their all effort on teaching? So I think our community should work with district to solve this problem, work with cities to see if we have a program like affordable housing, special mortgage program for low down payment, so that our teacher could settle down here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lucy.
Hi. So we do have a statewide teacher shortage. Part of it is a result of the recession. When we did layoffs across the state, students chose not to go into education in college, seeing what was happening to the industry. And so now we have, we're at the other side of the cycle where we need teachers, and there aren't enough coming out of the colleges to fulfill the positions that we have. So we've worked really hard in our school district to attract teachers. We recruit early, very early. And the three areas where we're having the most difficulty is in special education, math, and in science. So we begin our recruiting much earlier than we used to. We do hiring bonuses and we do retention bonuses so that people don't come for a year, get the bonus and go, they stay with us. We do wraparound services, a lot of professional development, job-alike kinds of meetings, trying to build community and relationships among our teachers and our staff, and trying to make sure that that first year is a year in which you survive. It's difficult to teach that first year, and we're trying to put support around our teachers to make that possible. I went a little long, sorry.
Thank you. Mr. Moe.
Yeah, well, like Joe said at CUSD, we too are starting the recruiting process earlier in order to attract and retain and catch the best students. And the trends are really frightening. In teacher preparation programs in 2002, there were 75,000 enrolled, and recently it's around 20,000. So the numbers are really frightening, along with high costs. We also need to work with community stakeholders to come up with creative solutions. Recently, the city of Cupertino approved the Hamptons development that set aside middle-income housing for teachers. The high-speed public transportation up the Highway 85 corridor could help teachers get to schools more quickly from the South County where housing is more affordable. And then some developer agreements that are contributing from rentals, the equivalent of what homeowners would pay, would be helpful too, because that money could go to increase teachers' salary.
Thank you. Mr. Rockland.
So far in Fremont Union High School District, we've been pretty successful at retaining the teachers that we have. We have a turnover rate of somewhere around 6%, and that compares to something like 14% in your typical job market out here. And I think one of the reasons is because it's a really good working environment. The district combines strong teacher collaboration with support and teacher autonomy. So, for example, I meet every Wednesday morning with my fellow physics AP teacher, and we talk about what it is that we're going to be teaching that week and look forward to the rest of the semester. In addition, there are committees of teachers that are formed to study how we're going to implement, in my subject of physics, next generation science standards, for example. So we work collaboratively together, yet we have our autonomy in our classroom. So what I see as a good working environment, maybe an excellent working environment, helps attract teachers to want to stay in our district.
Ms. Chow.
Teachers are overworked and very frustrated in CUSD. This April, there is a teacher survey. Over 70% of the teachers are dissatisfied with the district and the board. Teacher retention isn't just signing bonus. We want to keep the teachers here. They have the passion to teach. We need to give them respect, help them to do their job. Last year, the district looked at only one solution, turning the loser school site into rental apartments, before they even ask the teacher what they want. In fact, turns out 2/3 of the school employee association voted down that proposal also. Teachers and staff should be able to choose where to choose what works best for their families. A task force should be formed to study what kind of assistance teachers need. Down payment assistance, mortgage, teacher priority housing, such as in Mountain View and Los Altos, rental voucher for all the 6 cities we live in. We need to look at all the options to support our teachers and give them respect.
Thank you. And Ms. Vogel to close on this.
Well, I heard a few things from the other people up here: affordability of housing, the limited number of college graduates, teacher support, and the Luther school site. I think we need to do some work on teacher housing. Luther was an idea that was floated by our school district. It was supported by the teachers, and then kind of a change of mind during the course of the process. It was not clean, and I don't believe it was well done. And I'm disappointed about that, because I think we should be involved in helping our teachers be able to afford to live in the community in which they work. I think it's important that we partner with universities so that we can get student teachers to come to our districts. I think in Cupertino we do a pretty good job of that. I think Fremont does as well. And once they've come and student taught in our district and know how wonderful we are, often they stay, which is a good thing. We provide a lot of teacher support, as Joe mentioned. I'm not going to go over that again. And I think it's important for all of us to concentrate on how can we keep these fine employees that we have.
Great, thank you. Next, we will begin with Ms. Yuen. And your question is, our city and schools are known for working collaboratively. Talk about your experience working with local schools and groups to implement collaborative solutions and programs.
As an active volunteer in PTSA and school site council member, I involved in a lot of community service because I'm passionate on them. I involved in Teachers Appreciation Day, International Day, and Chinese New Year Day, etc. We all volunteers fundraiser for these programs, prepare food, brought gift, set up table and decorations, have fun together with teachers and students in schools. We all had a great time. Besides that, because I mentioned I do have concern for the housing problem, for the housing market that's too expensive for teachers. I had a chance to talk with Assemblywoman Catherine Baker, and she gave me an idea about the affordable housing in Silicon Valley and also a special mortgage program with a low down payment. And in that way, I have a chance to talk with San Jose City Council member Chappie Jones. He really supported that, and he said San Jose has the affordable housing, and he'll be glad to provide this program to Fremont Union High School District teachers. So I will see if we have any possibility to set up a program for district teachers. Then they could settle down in this area and have a house in this beautiful Silicon Valley, do not need to commute a couple of hours out of the area. Thank you.
Thank you. And to you, Ms. Lucy, and again, the question is, talk about your experience working with local schools and groups to implement collaborative solutions and programs.
Sure. I think we're really lucky to live in the community we do. We have a community that values and supports public education, and I'll point to three things that highlight that. We passed a bond here recently to upgrade and enhance all of the school sites that we have. And that was passed by our community. Our taxpayers paid specifically to support the schools that we have. And they don't all have students in the schools. They support us because they believe in public education and the value of public education. We also have a parcel tax, a $250 per parcel tax, which our community also supported, which goes specifically to helping with salary and compensation for our employees. That's a huge partnership with our community. And I think another area that we could talk about is CEF, the Cupertino Education Endowment Fund. Again, a long-time partner with the Cupertino School District. a community group that gets together, that does fundraising, and specifically supports music to make sure that our students have a well-rounded education. So lots of examples of partnerships with the Cupertino School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mo.
Yeah. Working together collaboratively in the community is very important. If we all in the community work together and move in the same direction, we have the best optimal output. Collaboration with me began a long time ago as number 8 of 9 children. I really had to work collaboratively growing up. But then 20 years ago, I joined the Asian American Parents Association too, and we kind of had a similar situation now. As we were a group of new members of our community, didn't feel like we were being recognized or received appropriate consideration. So what we did was schedule quarterly meetings with then Superintendent Joe Hamilton, and we met in collaboration, talked about our issues, and over time we built a bridge. And so with that experience, I want to build a new bridge, and this new bridge is going to be different. We're going to need a different approach. Communication is different than it used to be. District has some great ideas, and I'm really excited about working on those.
Great. Mr. Rockland.
Well, when my students were at Homestead, I worked collaboratively with other parents in supporting the speech and debate program and the band program. I was a member of the band boosters at that time. At Lynbrook, I'm on the school site council, and one of the other points I want to make is the work that I do. It's essentially volunteer work, helping out science students and advising clubs. I'm the advisor to the piano club, I love music, and the Red Cross Club, and I was at one time an advisor to the science club. But I also chaperone science students to various events. I'll be going to the Science Olympiad, I think it's in March of this year, as the chaperone, whether or not I'm elected to the school board. And I also chaperoned student to Science Bowl tournaments, and I guess that's a form of collaboration with the community.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Chow.
We are blessed with a very engaged and talented community. So the school district can make use of that to provide a lot more enrichment opportunities for our children. I've been involved with founding a Math Olympiad class in a local school and math circles to help students to enjoy it, to help students with the joys of problem solving, and coach teams to present their science gadgets at Maker Fair. And week by week, I volunteer in classrooms for various duties that are required and field trips such as Yosemite. However, in the past 2 years, I find out there are other areas that school district could have done better with collaboration. For example, Safe Route to Schools. The school did not provide any representative to the meetings for Cupertino City. And then the other 5 cities, it's very hard to find out what programs are available. So I wish there will be more collaboration between the district and the cities.
Thank you. Ms. Vogel.
Thank you. I think we all agree that collaboration with the community is an important thing that we do, and I just want to highlight something we did in Cupertino that I think was very successful. We have an elementary school, Stockholmeyer Elementary School, that has 1,200 children, very large for an elementary school, and we were struggling with how could we manage that growth without moving children out, because there really isn't any place to move them. So we brought together the Stockholmeyer Growth Committee, and it was comprised about a year and a half ago, and it was comprised of parents, teachers, administrators, stakeholders in the Stockholmeyer community. They worked for a year. They studied, they did data, they produced a wonderful, detailed report, and brought the board a number of options about how we might manage Stockholmeyer School. The board considered those, discussed them, and we went with the one that the board thought and the community felt was the best solution. And for the past, I guess since last January, we've been in the process of implementing the changes that they wanted to make their school even more successful for their students. Those are the kinds of collaborations I think are wonderful in school districts, and I want us to continue those.
Thank you. And Ms. Yuen, you get to close on this.
No doubt it's very important to have a city and the whole community working together with our district to have a bright future. Only with everyone's involvement, our district could provide a best education environment for students and teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Our next question will be led off by Ms. Jo Lucy. And that question is, do you think the school district is on the right track? Why or why not? What would you do differently?
Sure, thank you. So I think over the last 4 or 5 years, public education in California has gone through some really tremendous change. We've gone through a recession, which cut 20% of the budgets of every school district across the state, and that was huge. We have a new local control funding formula, which gives us money in a different way than we received money before. We have a new Common Core curriculum, which changes not only what we teach our students, but how. And we now have what we call local control accountability plans, which are the new way of holding districts accountable. County offices now are in charge of that role. So when you have that much change, it rocks the boat a little bit. During the recession, we cut most of the district office staff. We pushed everything out to the school sites to try and prevent cuts to student programs and to kind of keep that away from students. Common Core, as we've come back, the money has come to us in a different way. We receive less money than we used to. We don't get the supplemental money that other districts get, and we don't get the concentration funds that other districts get. So as we've come back, we've had to figure out how to roll out Common Core. We rebuilt our curriculum department. We put people back in the district office to help us with that transition, with that professional development. We're through most of that. The wave, I think we've kind of over the hump. It did create consternation among our teaching staff. When we went a little too fast or a little too far, they'd let us know, and we kind of pulled back a little bit. But I think we're mostly through that, and we've got one more year of writing and then probably to bring in the reading piece. So we're making a lot of, I think we're progress. So I think the answer is it's been a real, probably roller coaster ride in terms of public education. I think we've weathered it well, and I see really great things ahead. So.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Moe.
Yeah, I believe we're absolutely on the right track. Let me just rattle off a few statistics. We have a top-performing high school district in California based on statewide CASP testing. 77% of our graduates are eligible for UC-CSU admission compared to 42% statewide. Our schools do outstanding in sports and have strong award-winning arts programs. We have outstanding robotics teams and the best FBLA clubs in the country. We do outstanding in special ed programs and on and on. So the question is, how do we continue that? And I think it's through a work ethic based on excellence and based on continuous improvement. We have belief statements that are everywhere and that are expressed in teacher training. They're on our board desk, and let me just read the first one. The Fremont Union High School District hires and supports teachers, staff, and school leaders who believe that all students can achieve at high levels, who are committed to continuous improvement of the practice to ensure the students do so.
Great, thank you. Mr. Rockland.
Well, I'm in total agreement with Mr. Moe on his statements about the state of the district. I think Fremont Union High School District is tremendously successful, is well managed, and our financial situation is quite good. It doesn't mean that we're rolling in dough. What it does mean is that the money we have, we work well with. I would echo Jeff's comment about continuous improvement. We're not just sitting around patting ourselves on the back. We're always looking at how we can do the job better. There are two specific values that mean a lot to me in the district, and they are excellence and equity. These are values that the district promotes. You can read the statements on the district website. And there are specific ways specific ways that those are promoted. We always try to be our best, and our goal is to educate every student from the weakest to the strongest, the ones who need the most help to the ones who can get along fine, and that's the vision of equity.
Ms. Chow.
The goals set by the current CUSD board are not sufficient to prepare our kids for the 21st century. The number 3 goal of the district in the LCAP plan is students will use technology in their individual and group learning every day. Technology is only a tool that enhances learning, not an educational goal. Since today's children already grow up among technology, the number 1 goal of the district is students will master algebra in their first attempt. Algebra is yet another tool used to model pattern. What's more important is the real-world knowledge in problem solving, logical reasoning, questioning, and out-of-box thinking. As a result of trying to satisfy the technology goal and the algebra goal, our students are held back. Their learning is not enhanced. What we should do is to involve parents who know about technology to revise our goals.
Thank you. Ms. Vogel.
I absolutely think Cupertino Union School District is on the right track. Our student achievement is high and continues to be. We've switched over to the Common Core, and our kids still do very, very well. Our budget, we have positive budget ratings year after year after year, so I think we are good stewards of the public funds. We have been able, unlike other elementary school districts, we've been able to maintain music and art with the help of our partnership with the Cupertino Educational Endowment Foundation, but we've been able to maintain those programs in our elementary and middle schools throughout the economic downturn. So I'm very pleased with the way our district is going. I think you're never perfect, so I think there are places for us to improve and challenges that we have facing us, but I think by and large we are definitely on the right track.
Ms. Yuan.
One issue I want to mention on the Fremont Union High School District is that the district is losing trust from community due to lack of communication. The community members have tough time to communicate with some board members. It is in need of improvement, and that is the most important part we're working on. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. For our last question tonight.
Wait, do I get to finish?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I'm ready to.
Thank you, Ms. Lucy. Thank you for that.
So I think it's important to realize that as a board, our goal is success for every child, and that probably looks a little different for each child. So we offer 4 different alternative programs within our school district to provide different learning environments for our students. I do want to push back a little bit on the technology piece. Not all of the students in our school district have technology at home, and I think it's absolutely critical in a school district where technology is such an important part of our lives and in growing, that we offer our students the ability to be exposed to technology, and we do that in our schools, and I think in a very appropriate way, using it as a tool for learning. I also want to talk a little bit about math. Under the new Common Core, we did change how we place students in the math curriculum. It's opened up. We have more students in geometry and more students in algebra than we ever have before. Pulling teacher recommendations out of the equation pulls out a subjective element, and allowing it to be done by test scores actually has opened up the number of students and increased the number of students that we have in those programs. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Now for our last question. It's very similar to the preceding question, but you'll notice there's a slight difference, and it's obviously on the minds of the chamber members. So this will be with Mr. Moe, and the question is, our schools are some of the highest performing in the state. What do you think is being done well in our schools? What would you do to continue their success? Mr. Moe.
Thank you, Rick. Recently, I attended a talk by Dr. Fuller, who's a professor of education and public policy at UC Berkeley and director of policy analysis for California education. And he did a study looking at what really makes schools successful. And he compared in California successful schools to those that aren't successful. So what do successful schools have? First, they have a smart, technically skilled, and creative management center that guides, inspires, and harmonizes a shared mission. We have that at Fremont Union High School District, a very dedicated, talented management team. And that's really important, and it's important to maintain that, and it's important to continue to do leadership development so that that ethic continues. Next on his list was ethical commitment to engaging, caring for, and lifting all students. Again, at Fremont Union High School District, we not only offer a lot of AP classes, but we put forth a lot of effort for those students maybe whose parents or families never went to college. We have an AVID program that's very successful and has outstanding results. Broad adherence to values and beliefs is another item, which we also have, which I talked about a little bit earlier. And then finally, provides flexibility to teachers to allow for experimentation. That we do too, and that is important so that teachers can feel engaged. One of the areas that we do that is flipping the classroom, where teachers video record the lecture, allowing students to view that during normal homework time, and then in the classroom, that's when they really work on the homework with the benefit of the teacher being there. So that's just one example of many creative ideas that our teachers are trying.
Thank you. Mr. Rockland.
Can you read the question again, please?
Yes. Question is, our local schools are some of the highest performing in the state. What do you think is being done well? What would you do to continue their success? And I think that's the essence of the question.
Well, the part of Jeff Moe's answer that I sort of, my ears picked up on, is the autonomy that the teachers have in order to experiment using their educational techniques that they've learned sometimes from other teachers. And I'm doing that in my classroom. I'm flipping the classroom this year. This is the first year I've ever done that. So the students at home will watch a video, which is essentially a lecture that was prepared by the teacher, Mr. Taylor, who teaches in the class next door to me. He prepared these in the last 2 years. And then in the classroom, they work on their homework, and I walk up and down the aisles, keep them on track, and answer questions. And it seems to be working well. It seems to have lowered their stress. So to me, that's just an example of how we're continuing to strive for excellence by trying things that we think might actually work well and seeing how well they work. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Chow?
Could you repeat the
Yes.
question?
Our schools are some of the highest performing in the state. What do you think is being done well, and what would you do to continue their success? Another way of thinking of is, what wouldn't you change of these successful programs?
So the school performance is usually even assessed by API or now CASP. However, what is really in student performance? We have this success because we do have a very strong community, a parent community who are willing to be involved, engaged in the school activities, and we have families who really value education. However, these recent years, we've had more strict fingerprinting requirement that's more strict than other school districts that has discouraged parent volunteers. And we have had more strict fundraising requirements that's stricter than other school districts too that has discouraged fundraising. And our students, we have a school population that's twice as big as before. As a result, there are less and less opportunities for students for after-school classes, after-school clubs.
Thank you. Ms. Vogel.
our students do very well, and I certainly think the parents have a part of that credit, but I don't think the parents have all the credit. I think that our school district and our very talented teachers contribute greatly to the success of our students, as well as the parents in the community. It's a nice partnership, I think. I look at education as a three-legged stool. In terms of continuing our current high achievement, I think we need to continue with professional development for our teachers and support for our teachers. Under the funding from the local control accounting, we have some money that we can designate for professional development. And we've hired instructional support teachers to work in the classrooms and mentor the teachers and help them along. We also have a release time for teachers to assess students so that their instructional practices target the needs of each individual child. We do have students in Cupertino that struggle, even though we have high-achieving students, and so I think that's an area that we can really work on, is to target those struggling students and make sure that they become proficient as well.
Thank you. Ms. Yuen.
Besides teachers' effort, I would say parent and community members' involvement are important to keep our schools excellent. First, our schools have many well-known clubs. Those clubs are run and supported by parents and teachers together. Parent support on finance and help is essential. The second is a good student must have self-motivation on learning. Learning more knowledge and be proactive on school and community activities. Families' love, care, and dedication on students' education will create a good environment for students' growth, as well trigger their self-motivation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lucy.
So I think in order to continue to ensure that our district is strong and that our students succeed, we need to make sure that we finish the rollout of our Common Core curriculum and the support that our teachers need to adapt to the new way of teaching and the new curriculum that's there. So a lot of professional development, I think, is important. We're mostly through that. I think we're 3/4 of the way done, another year or two, and we'll have most of that kind of integrated in the system, and I think that's important. But I also think it's important to do more than just think about academics. We need to think about the whole child, the social and emotional health of our children. And I think in our very sort of intense community, it's important that our children be resilient and that they know how to enjoy themselves and they know how to, that they have a well-rounded education, that art and music and PE are also integrated into the curriculum. So I think as a board, our goal is to ensure that every child in our district feels welcome and that we offer many different environments and many different opportunities to meet the whole needs of all of our children. Thank you.
And Mr. Moe, to wrap that up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Also important to continue the success is to continue to attract and retain outstanding teachers and staff. That's very important. And I agree with Jenny. Parents are very important. Parent involvement is huge in our district in terms of band boosters, sports boosters, PTSA involvement. That it is really important and very valued and one of the key ingredients to success. So it's important that we maintain that connection with the community.
Thank you. That concludes the questions from the chamber membership. Thank you all for your time. And if we could begin closing statements, and we'll begin with Mr. Rockland. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. School board members must always be aware that their decisions should be made to support the education of all students, from the strongest students to those who need the most help. I don't have a narrow agenda. I'm not out to advance the interests of a single group. I will serve all the students and all the members of the community. I have shown with my choices in life that I value education. I have been successful in private industry. I went to college and went to graduate school and earned a PhD in analytical chemistry before I worked in private industry, and then about 11 years ago decided to become a teacher, high school teacher, in science. I've also been a parent of students in the district. My children graduated from Homestead High School, and I was very involved in the schools as a volunteer at that time. Most importantly, I've been a science teacher at Lynbrook for over 10 years. I know what goes on in the classroom. My education and experience has prepared me to serve the district well on the school board. Thank you.
Ms. Chow.
The teacher survey done in this April reveals that there is more than 70% dissatisfaction for the district leadership and the board. This September, the teachers' union took a membership vote, and the teachers overwhelmingly support me, Liang Chao, and Gregory Anderson for CUSD board. Not only that, the School Employee Association decided not to endorse the incumbents. In the past year, the entire staff of one elementary school was replaced. And that's just one of the many issues. You should vote for me because the future of CUSD depends on it. Your future depends on it. The district is going in the wrong direction. Due to poor fiscal management, expenses have skyrocketed and are unsustainable. We are projecting a deficit due in part to declining enrollment, but also due to much higher administrative costs and misplaced priorities. We as a community will have some very difficult decisions to make. The board has proven they will not work with the community in making those decisions. I will work for you. I will work with you. Aside from my strong qualifications, I will immediately get to work rebuilding the trust in our community. Trust is the glue that binds us together. Our students, homeowners, and business owners depend on it for a healthy community. Vote for Liang Chao and Gregory Anderson. Vote for the future.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Vogel.
Thank you. I would like to continue my service to the Cupertino School District. I've been on the board for 9 years, and I think we've made a lot of progress in those 9 years, a lot of changes in curriculum. We have been forward-thinking in providing for our middle school students by renovating both Lawson and Cupertino middle schools, which, through the good work of our demographer, we knew that was where our growth was going to be. And I was an employee in the school district from 1963 until 2005, and I joined the board in 2007. So I have been committed to the students and families of Cupertino for a lot of years. I served on a lot of the district committees over the years. I was active in the Asian American Parents Association back in the day and the Cupertino Sister Cities Committee. I also participate in lots of school events. And because of my involvement with parents and staff at the district level and my involvement with students at the school level, I feel I'm well prepared to continue to serve on the board. I have experience and background to continue to be an effective board member. I have been and will continue to be a good steward of the public funds. I chaired both parcel tax campaigns and the parcel tax renewal campaign and the bond campaign. And the parcel taxes bring us $8 million a year, and the bond brought us $220 million to do the renovation that I mentioned. I'm proud of my service to the district, and I would like to continue to work with the student, staff, and community to keep Cupertino strong. I hope to have your vote on November 8th.
Thank you. Ms. Yuen.
I'm 100% grassroots candidate, not backed by any special interest group. Many people recently come to me and told me that they saw many of my yard signs. I'm kind of surprised that so many people are willing to support me. I think the best part of my race is that it inspires many grassroots like me to involve community and political activities. And their passion inspires me to face challenges and better serve our community. I'll help more community members and stakeholders involved in district events. As of I know, many parents, including immigrants, love to involve in activities of schools and community. But due to language barrier and limited knowledge, they don't know how to do it. So my goal of communication is not just for a certain group of people, but for all community members. I will strengthen communication. I will listen to your voice because I'm one of you. As a parent, I understand how stressful parent is to work full-time and raise up kids in such competitive situation. As a grassroots, I understand how important that your voice is heard by decision maker. As a board member, I think it's necessary to have a certain communication time spot open for all stakeholders on any issue. I will encourage parents and students not just to make effort on academic development, but also on character development. I hope when our high school students graduate, they not only get a diploma, but also have ability of critical thinking, have good communication skill, have passion for serving our community.
Thank you. Ms. Lucy.
Sure. I'll end by thanking the Chamber for hosting this forum and close by sharing a bit of personal information. I'm a Stanford University graduate with a master's degree in mechanical engineering, and I spent 20 years in the aerospace industry working on satellite design and the space shuttle program. During my 15 years on the board, I've gained a strong understanding of the district organization, budget, curriculum, and long-term needs. I'm intimately familiar with both our successes and our challenges. Under my leadership, as our enrollment increased, we were prepared with bond revenue to add needed classrooms. And during the recession, we maintained smaller class sizes and avoided employee layoffs. As we transitioned to the Common Core curriculum, we developed pathways to ensure our students still had the ability to take algebra or geometry in the 8th grade. As president of the California School Boards Association, I've had the opportunity to visit other districts in the state and have used that experience to advocate in Sacramento for public education policy issues to benefit students both locally and statewide. As a board member, you have to balance competing needs of various constituents, students, staff, parents, community members, and taxpayers. You listen to the vocal voices and the quiet ones. You balance current and future needs. You have to ask for relevant data, but also understand that for many constituents, decisions are highly emotional. It's a balancing act. A board member is elected to balance input and make decisions, and what's easy isn't always right, and what's right isn't always easy. I've always put students first. Our district is one of the best in the state, and the decisions I've made, both large and small, have contributed to that excellence. I've been honored to serve this community. I have the experience, the leadership, and the commitment to guide us through the next 4 years. And I thank you for your interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moe.
I bring to the Fremont Union High School District the experience of 4 years of reading thousands of pages of board material and related pages, asking hundreds of questions and attending hundreds of events where I was able to talk to members of the community and collect their input. That experience will help me to contribute at higher levels in the next 4 years. Experiences is especially important since we're losing our most experienced and highly regarded board member, Nancy Newton. Being on the board is about community service, and I've been active in community service since I moved into this district 33 years ago. My wife and I joined the Sunnyvale Resurrection Church Young Adult Group, where we sang regularly to the residents of the convalescent hospital. We also helped organize a child care program for people attending church, along with me. Joe Lucy was there, small world. And the Asian American Parents Association. I've been involved and deeply interested and committed and connected with that group for 20 years. And we've always been a bridge between the Asian communities and the school districts. And it's just been wonderful to see the ebb and flow of how that's changed. Our community has grown and changed and evolved. I've coached youth sports, baseball, basketball, soccer, been an active participant in my children's education, for children's education, taught a web design class at McAuliffe Middle School, for example. I understand and love our community with all its complexities. I bring that attitude into the position of board member. I'm a good listener, sensitive to the needs of others, a team player, and a collaborative problem solver. I believe that I'm up to the challenge of another 4 years.
Great. Thank you very much. From some of the many elected officials it's been my pleasure to be around for the last several decades, there's a bit of wisdom that I think anyone who's been elected to office understands, which is when you're running for office, everyone who agrees with you comes out and cheers you on. Once you get elected, you hear from everyone else. So this is an exceedingly difficult job to which all of these people are applying for, and they deserve our sincerest gratitude, and we appreciate your effort for being willing to serve. Thank you very much. That concludes our program for tonight. It would not be complete without our sincere and profound thanks for the Cupertino City Channel, without which this would not be possible. And last but not least, as the sign says, please remember to vote on November 8th. Thank you very much.